What's going on YouTube? Nathan back with another video presentation. Hope everyone's doing well. I want to talk about the city of Baltimore. And recently in the news, the city of Baltimore elected officials by law are due to get a pay increase. And because of COVID and some issues that I have, I said, well, this is an interesting topic I want to talk about. So I'm looking here, right? The current salary for the mayor is making $189,000. The president of the city council and the comptroller are both making the same amount of money, $125,447. The vice president of the city council is making $80,000. Around, I'll say $80,000. $80,646 to be exact. Council member is making $72,966. So we can round that up and we can say that's that's about $73,000 right there. The chairman and the commissioner of the liquor board. The commissioner is making $32,245. And the chairman's making $32,811. Now the mayor gets a $4,736 increase. The president of the city council gets a $3,136 pay increase. The comptroller gets the same increase, $3,136. The VP of the city council gets $2,016. Council member gets $1,824. The commissioner of the liquor board gets $806, and the chairman of the liquor board gets an $820 salary increase. So I did the math, but I'll leave it all in there. But essentially, it's $194,000 the mayor will get of an increase. That'll be the new salary. The president and the comptroller have a new salary of $128,583. Vice president of the city council, $82,662. Council member, $74,790. And then the commissioner gets $33,051, and then the chairman gets $33,631 as a pay raise. Well, I have an issue with that, particularly with the mayor, president of the city council, the commissioner, chairman of the liquor board, VP of the city council, and council member. Let me just say this. I look at it like this. To me, in order to get a pay raise, I believe you need to be evaluated for the job that you have done. Now, granted, we have new people. Brandon Scott has been elected as the new mayor of Baltimore. But even though it's not fair to criticize him yet, because he's now just getting his feet wet. So we're going to give him time. We're going to let's see what happens in a year or two to reevaluate that. So for right now, he's fine. But let's hypothetically say if Brandon Young was in office, let's say 4 years, okay? You know, I'm looking at those elected officials. I'm looking at, and I'm looking at Baltimore City's crime. Okay, and in the last 5 years, and hear me out on this. From 2015, you had 344 deaths. In 2016, 318. 2017, 343. 2018, 309. 2019, 348. And now, the sixth consecutive year where Baltimore has reached over 300 murders. And yet you're saying that these particular officials should be given a pay raise. That should not happen. Now, according to the law, they, by law, are supposed to get a pay raise. But for some that have been in these positions, now, granted, I will give you who was mayor within these years. Stephanie Rollins Blake, Catherine Pugh, Jack Young, all mayors, city council. I can't remember the off the top of my head, but mayor. All of this stuff, all these crimes are happening that happened under their watch. And yet they got pay raises too. And I'm saying that it's not fair when you see crime, particularly in Baltimore, not just Baltimore, but in Chicago's and other cities, where you have the communities looking like war zones, where you have crumbling schools. When it's sad when you have a whistleblower for Baltimore City Public Schools coming out and talking about how there's no heat, how you have the school system is a failure. And yet you're coming out and saying this is y'all are demanding pay raises. We're not demanding, but you're, according by law, saying, this is the law. And I want to quote Brandon Scott's office. Quote, "These are annual cost of living increases mandated by law. They're only received when the city employees as a whole gets these increases. The mayor takes responsibility for fiscal stewardship of the city's resources extremely seriously. As such, he has been internal about ensuring the budget of the mayor's office does not grow as he builds his team." Now, that's fine because, again, Brandon Scott gets a pass because he just got into the position. But let me bring something out to you, because I bring up the fact that there have been several officials in the city of Baltimore who have taken advantage of their positions. And yet you're saying that the city annually gets a pay raise. Maryland Delegate Cheryl Glenn, she was elected as Maryland General Assembly in 2017 to represent the 45th District located in East Baltimore. She got her hands cooked in the cookie jar. Tawana Gaines was once a member of the House of Delegates in Maryland. She resigned from October, days after federal prosecutors opened an investigation of her campaign finance records, and she later pleaded guilty to one count of wire fraud. Nathaniel Oakes, if I'm saying this correctly, I believe was exchanging money for Raven tickets. Obstruction of justice. And I believe his 3.5-year sentence is due to soon to be up. But yet and still, you are telling me that annually these members of your government is just due to get a pay raise is utter bullshit. Excuse my language. When you have Marilyn Mosby coming out, as particularly after the Freddie Gray riots, and I'm going to say this, that particular district where it occurred, particularly with that CVS, what was burnt to the ground, not burnt to the ground, but was burnt and looted, along, I believe there was a Mama Mia's there too. That district is the worst when it comes to crime. Because that same community was actually torched during the Martin Luther King riots after he was assassinated. And essentially what she said, basically, any officer who makes a poor arrest like Freddie Gray, your butt's in jail. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what she said. So what these officers are going to do? Huh? Okay, listen, I'm not going to jail, so I'm just going to be in my cruiser doing my patrol. If I see something, I'm turning the other cheek. That's essentially what they're doing because they don't want to be put in jail. This is what Marilyn Mosby said. But again, let me point out, let me go back to my statistics here. 6 consecutive straight years. Now I know back from 1990 to 1999, that's essentially 9 consecutive years of 300 plus deaths. I mean, come on now. A pay raise to me, you should be evaluated on the job you have done. And that's why I am a firm believer, and I'm going to say this, and some people may not like it. That's why I'm a firm believer that when you put these DAs, your city councilmen, district congressmen, police chiefs, mayors, they have a more profound impact on your everyday life than who the next president of the United States is going to be. That is a fact. I'm more curious to know who my next superintendent of my school district is going to be. I want to know who my next circuit court judge is going to be. My next district attorney, circuit court judge, mayor, city councilman, district congressman, because they have more of an impact on your life than the next president of the United States. When you have crime, and this is another alarming statistic, I believe, let me make sure I have it in front of me. I believe the number of women that are being killed is now at a high rate. I want to say it's now 43, maybe more. Because correct me if I'm wrong, once upon a time, women and children and elderly people, and they were to not be harmed when it came to crime. Now, example, like on Sundays. Sundays was a ceasefire because especially you had a lot of grandmothers, aunts going to church, and you didn't want them caught up in a crossfire. Example, The Wire, which also too, The Wire was filmed in that part of Baltimore that I said where that looting took place. But again, I mean, we can make the case, sexual assault, robbery, domestic violence. They could they could find themselves in the middle of a crime or be a part of a crime. We can make so many arguments there. But the fact that you're coming out and we're finding out that you as the city officials can be due for a pay raise in January, because I believe that's when it takes place, if I'm saying that correctly. I'm saying that should not happen. Because I feel like this, if you have been elected more than 5-6 times and you haven't done the job that you're supposed to, you're not due for no pay raise. Because I have not seen the fruits of your labor. If I see fruits of your labor, okay, that's fine. Because when we put these people in these positions, does not matter Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Libertarian. It does not matter. We have to hold them accountable. If again, I said it in that Ice Cube. I made 3 videos. Political organization. If you know that candidate A is not doing their job, the next election cycle, you get them out of office. When you look at the crime in Baltimore, when you look at the communities looking like war zones, that falls blame on who? The elected officials. And we cannot all the time say it's the white man behind the tree. We can clean these communities up. We can make our school districts better. That's not just within Baltimore. That's across the nation, the country, across the board. But this right here tops it. When he said that, I literally said, this is a video. And on top of that, the city is facing $100 million budget deficit, forcing of closing of dining at restaurants and bars, has devastated the local community. There's not going to be a huge revenue stream coming into Baltimore, political analyst John Dede said. So spending all this money may not be effective 6 months when the city's not getting any revenue. And again, how you can get a pay raise in the midst of a pandemic, but more importantly, when we have seen no fruits of labor the last particularly 6 years when it comes to crime, when it comes to the crumbling school system of Baltimore, when you have to get these drugs off the streets, when you have there are so many problems in Baltimore that needs to be addressed. And until those problems are addressed, to me, you're not entitled to a pay raise. And I think the law needs to be changed. Listen, y'all may not like what I said. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell y'all. Again, I'm gonna leave it all in the description for y'all to see. Because I when I saw this, my mind was blown. And particularly with the political corruption in the city of Baltimore. And this is from someone from the outside looking in. No way in heck are you due for a pay raise when you've had 6 consecutive years of 300 plus murders, crumbling school system, communities looking like war zones, where your communities are ravaged by drugs. And on top of that, food deserts. How is a chairman of a liquor board and the commissioner of liquor board getting a pay raise, and yet there's a liquor store on every corner? Yet there's a food desert. We need grocery stores, in these communities. Get that stuff out the communities. Put grocery stores in there. Find ways to invest in your community, because what I don't see any investment in the city of Baltimore. I don't see it. Brandon Scott, because he just got elected, Right now, he had his being currently evaluated. But before, Catherine Pugh, Stephanie Rollins Blake, and particularly after the Freddie Gray riots occurred, that's when the murder rate increased. And that happened on her watch. The police commissioner at the time's watch. I believe who was Anthony Bates. City Council. That happened on their watch. And yet you're telling me every January 1st of such and such, they're due for a pay increase? To me, it should be like as follows. Have you accomplished your goals of what is your plan? Brandon Scott has a plan. I didn't see it. We haven't seen it with the previous administrations. That's why it baffled me when Mary Bubala was fired from WJZ because she asked an African American woman professor when she said African American women who were all mayors. That baffled me because she said all 3 mayors, female, even in the same breath, said great public servants. Do you think Baltimore needs a change? And everybody got offended by that. But this right here tops it. I love my state. I love Maryland. I love Baltimore. Outside looking in, the city of Baltimore is not the elected officials. Progress has to be shown first. Until you've shown progress, until we see something that shows that the city is moving forward, and this is if COVID never existed. Before COVID, the fruits of the labor, where is it? But that's all I wanted to say. I'm gonna leave those links in the description for y'all to see, to read the article. Boy, oh boy, it just it baffled me. I was really sitting there going like, how? And Brandon Scott's different, but to me, it's more of evaluation. That's how I look at it. We have to evaluate what you have done in those positions. And if we've seen no work, or you're half-assing your job, you're going to get as satisfactory or needs improvement or non-applicable. But like I said, the Mac Thee Stallion video, Shaquille O'Neal with her fans getting on Shaq for being on her Instagram Live and why he came out and defended himself. That video, I will have that premiered sometime tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, tops. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace. Stay up.